man, and if you leave that shoulder area for a second, they're just like, looking at you like you're crazy. If you go down to the elbow or the neck. But other times people are wonderful and you can just kind of do what you have to do. So I've had that idea just every time now, going taking care of people. I'll take care of what they share, and sometimes like this lady today, I tried to move her leg and pick it up, and I couldn't move her leg. And then I said, "Can you bend your leg?" And she bent her leg. I said, "All right, let me see what's going on with your leg." And I grabbed it, and I just couldn't budge it. And her husband had gotten it adjusted before. I said, "All right, go face down." I bent it. And then I came back to face up, and I said, "Let me try to bend your leg again." She wouldn't do it. I said, "Well, look, your leg is twisted, and I would massage this and the back of your leg, but it's probably going to be an uncomfortable experience. I don't think you're here for that." I said, "The girl's going to give you your money back, and I think, the husband was there. I think she was a little surprised, but I wasn't going to, maybe in the past I would have kind of, I don't know, probably forced myself upon her. But I said, this lady was probably just accompanying her husband and probably didn't really want me to look at her knee. She was just doing it maybe because the husband wanted it. I don't know, but once I couldn't do that leg, and I said, there's been times in the past where I've just gone, all right away, just dismiss people. I said, okay, I'm going to give her another chance. But at that point I said, what are we doing here? And again, dealing with the people, sometimes I would have like a short fuse with people in situations like that. But I just try to focus on the higher part of that person, and being my best, and avoiding those issues. And that's only a small, the more I've thought about it, it's really a small percentage of people, but it usually threw me off pretty badly. And then it's amazing just in comparison, the other people who just in their first visit will just open up and pretty much let you do everything that you think needs to be done to them. If they come in for their low back and you're adjusting their neck, they just get up and they're just like very appreciative. And it made me think there's no substitute for experience. So, we can try to learn, being around Pasquale, being around each other, and like picking up stuff. And we have to do that and use our imagination to kind of not have to go through all the tough experiences, but there is no substitute for experience. You have to get through some of this stuff. And experience and being a chiropractor and just getting better at what we do, I equate it sometimes to sports where you can do an athlete can come out and have a great performance in one game, but they say the guys who are real superstars are who can consistently do that game after game after game and keep performing. And that is what I wanted to share today.
Anyone like to ask Fernando anything? Anyone? Anyone? One more time, anyone?
Yeah.
Mark.
So, do you feel like she was trying to fight you checking her out?
Yeah, for whatever reason. There's a lot of people who come in really scared,
Yeah.
to the point where I would get in and they would tell me, they'd be like, "I'm so scared." And I was like, "Well, this is not going to work." But then I realized they'd say that and they'd be fine on the table. I could tell she was apprehensive. When the person comes in, you go, well, she was going to be the second person anyway. So she was just sitting there. There's a sign of things that says "get ready." She didn't get ready, so she had to take off her jacket and stuff. And I said, her knee was bothered. So I said, "Well, take off your shoes so I can see your whole leg." And she looked at me like, "Do I have to?" And I was like, so I could tell there's already like friction going on. So anyway, you talk a lot about loving the people, but you can't like over love them. They can only take. It's got to be a little bit. It's a partnership. We're here together. We're gonna do this together. I'm not gonna do it to you. I'm not gonna do chiropractic to you. We gotta do. We're gonna work on this together.
Anyone else want to ask Fernando anything? Anyone? Nancy Brown.
No, I'm having trouble, but go ahead. We'll see what we can pick up.
Okay, excuse me. When somebody asks you a question and looking at you, they want to be here. How do you?
I didn't really hear. Did you hear that?
Did you
I
hear
couldn't
about
really
it?
hear that. I could say, what do you do when somebody asks you a question? You said about being there. I don't.
When can you hear it here now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's gotta say now. Yeah. When somebody asks you a question, and they want the answer, how do you,
It keeps cutting out.
When somebody asks me a question, I wish I could hear you clearly. When somebody asks me a question, how do I answer them?
I don't know, we're having technical issues. We'll have to just have someone here. Anyone else want to ask Fernando anything? Anyone? Alex?
Do you feel like that's something that you deal with frequently, or is that once in a long while?
No, it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing. I have to meet people where they're at. There's people who come in to get adjusted, and they get adjusted. And there's people who come in who it's their first time. They don't know what. A lot of people have at least in our offices, a lot of people coming in with a world of they might expect a massage. There was a lady who came in. She wanted some pills. I kind of took care of her, but when you're coming in looking for pills, what am I going to do? I'm giving you an adjustment. So I just say, hey, this is what I can do for you. I hope this helps you out. But, you got to go to the doctor to go get your pills.
Anyone else for Fernando? Anyone?
So you see such a wide variety of people. And that's the thing. I'm just trying to give them the one thing of chiropractic, it doesn't work out.
Anyone else? All right, Fernando. Excellent. All right, the floor is open. Alex.
Hey there, Alex, I'm a chiropractor in Pennsylvania. It's funny, Fernando was talking about, dealing with some interesting people. I had one of those weeks where I just had a ton of unique stuff with people making appointments and no-showing, canceling at the last minute. Thursday night I had somebody come in who had been walking in the park, and I didn't know it until it had tracked so much mud everywhere. And it makes you think sometimes about, we talk a lot here with how,
Just find one that works. The black one.
Here.
Back we go.
we can relate a lot to,
I'll do it.
with even the Earth with true north and then magnetic north. And we look at true north being that part related to God, the pause, many different ways you can define it. And the more imperfect the magnetic north. And it got me thinking how so much more in the office, we want to go in that direction of true north. And when we have to deal with some not maybe perfect behavior in the office, it feels like we're getting pulled this direction. So it's like trying to ourselves pull more towards true north, and also people kind of trying to maybe pull us back to magnetic north. And it was just so crazy. Even I had on Friday, was that yesterday? I got a message from my ex, and it was crazy. But then Thursday night, after I had that person with the mud, right after that, I had an angel come in. It was her first time ever, and it was just like this wave of goodness. And it's like everything else was washed away. And we had such a great encounter, and it was just very, very special. So it's one of those things, I think so much of the time we kind of have that pushing and pulling going on, but then there are those moments where you just have that one person who comes in, they get it, they're just very special, not originally, from the U.S., but just a very wonderful soul. And that just makes, there are those times where you feel like just everything is worthwhile, whereas maybe it is as much with some of the other people that are difficult, but it's just nice once in a while to get like a little help from over here to bring us back. And that's what I have.
Oh, your balls. Anyone want to ask Alex anything? Anyone? Anyone? Alex, can you just tell us a brief explanation? What is true north? What is magnetic north?
It's related to, like what we'd even say with our planet, how you have true north goes to the North Pole. Magnetic north is when you look at a compass, it's slightly off from true north. And relating that to how true north, we can relate it to God and the pause, perfection, beauty, and then magnetic north is more the real world, life.
Anyone else like to ask Singer Alex anything? Anyone?
You can hear me?
You know what? I'll make a quick announcement. For whatever reason we're having audio issues, everyone on this thing has my number. If you want to ask something, you can text me and I'll read it. You can text them to my phone and I'll read it, okay?
Textable questions to Brian, okay.
But for whatever reason, the audio's not working. Now, anyone else like to ask this young fella anything?
You can hear me? Test.
Anyone else?
What?
Somebody trying to mention.
I think that's Steve Oskopinski.
I see also.
Yeah, Phil Bracco's here, Steve. He's up here. Is that Christina over there?
She didn't even have any sound on.
Christina, can you say something to see if we can hear you?
I didn't mute.
No, it's just everything's choppy. The audio, everything's choppy. All right. Well, no one. Wait a second. Not Sora. Steve Oskopinski. Okay. Does he remember Pasquale talking about? It says how adjustment affects.
I met Pasquale once, and I've watched some of his videos. Yeah, I have. I mean, what in particular, that would be what he was getting at specifically.
Well, how do you feel in general the adjustments help people?
Different people, different effects. I think everybody comes in for different reasons. Maybe ones they're conscious of, things they're maybe not conscious of. And it's always really something when you have people that are very hesitant and then you work on them and they're full of smiles, and even if they say they don't want a lot of force, you might use a little more, and then they really light up and they're happy with it.
He was asking about the particular in what you were talking about, true north and magnetic north. How does the adjustment affect that?
That the way I see it, the adjustment helps to bring people and us more towards true north from magnetic north. Even when we think we're doing things right, or people do, many times, it's kind of like you look at politics. Whether you agree with someone or don't, a lot of times people have good intentions, but those good intentions aren't necessarily maybe what is best. And when you look at it as being what is best, what is pure, what is, true beauty, in its most simple form would be true north, and we try to overall help people to get more in that direction.
All right, then. Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, all right, anyone else like to come on up? I'm sorry for the people on the Zoom world. We won't be able to hear you tonight. It's a high frequency event. I'll tell you a real quick story. Pasquale he was out at an event somewhere. A lot of the people didn't know who he was. And some guy asked him, how'd you handle non-compliant patients? And he goes to the guy, you talk too much. That's your problem. And then he just ended it. He's like, just serve the people and let them go. Alright. Now, the floor is open to whoever would like to come up. That was my quick filler. All you gotta do is raise your hand and come on up. We're just gonna have the crew here, because we can't hear the people. Fernando has spoken and Alex has spoken. Someone's gotta come on up here. I'm gonna speak later. I'm a featured speaker, so I go later. Senior Mark Johnson.
So good to be at Self Center every time. I just got back I was in Florida for a couple of weeks, and I've spent a lot of alone time down there thinking and trying to manifest more of a spiritual base within me, meditating, resting, which I like to keep moving. I'm a moving, shaking kind of guy that wants to go. Uh-oh.
Don't worry, just keep going.
And so being down there was interesting. I made some friends with just people that were upstairs renting from where I was renting. I met people at the boardwalk. I met people at the bike path. And I was just thinking about how interesting it is that we get to have our hands on all these beautiful people, and how chiropractic is so beneficial to people. And more, I guess, recently, I've been trying to be more mindful of don't talk too much. Try to keep it, like Pasquale say, don't talk a lot. Put your hands on people, sense it, and when you adjust them, when you put the energy in and you make the adjustment, don't pull your hands off of them quickly. Keep your hands there. So when the adjustment goes in the body, don't snap off of it. Just be right with it and be there long as you feel you should be. Because a lot of times I think I come off of it because there's a wave that bounces back at me when I'm actually doing the adjustment, energetic wave. So I've been trying to focus on that more. Also in BJ's, the truth is, I like the sentence that we deal and work with the subtle essence of the soul. So more and more I'm trying to be mindful and focused on we're actually adjusting that person's spirit body in alignment with God and us on earth. And as it was said through Pasquale to us, that we're bringing heaven to earth. So the more that we can think about that and focus in on it, I've been feeling more and more like, okay, I really need to learn even more about this. So, interesting enough, being alone and feeling that connection with God, it's forced me more to think about God and this alignment of my own spirit body, and what Alex was talking about being on true north, and there's a lot to clear out. I've been doing this a long time, but there's so much more. Chiropractic is kind of like skiing. You never are perfect at it. We can just keep working towards being the best that we can possibly be for ourselves, which means you have to work on yourself that way. And I got a lot of work to do on myself. I found out that I need to, in my spirit, my connection with God, have more faith, have more connection with the people that we work with, and that whole relationship. There's a lot I feel that I'm going to be, observing about how I work in that mindfulness state. I hope it didn't sound too disjointed, but it's just been kind of coming to me lately, but there's a major transformation that I'm going through with that.
Anyone would like to ask Mark anything? Anyone? Anyone here want to ask him or Mark anything? I got my phone in case someone text. One more time, anyone? All right, he stunned everyone. Very good. And you gotta erase the board after you're done. And this, we're gonna have to clean that off later with some water. Well, I gotta put some muscle to get this off. All right.
Put some jism in it.
Probably. All right, folks. The floor is open. Who would ever like to come up and speak?
Brian, one idea,
Sure.
if any of the people from Zoom, they can call your phone. And you can put on speaker and they can actually talk through your phone and then
Yeah.
they're in the meeting. Because Nancy and everybody might wanna say something.
That's true, but we'll do that later at the end. I'm gonna get everyone here.
Okay.
Does anyone here wanna come up and speak? Phil Bronco.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm Philip Bracco. I'm a chiropractor in Staten Island, and this year, around this time of the year, would have been 38 years that I've been coming down to the Self Center, and that's a long time, and it's been fun. What I wanted another thing I wanted to say was, I just came back from Life University where I gave a talk to introduce or induct someone into the Life Rugby Hall of Fame. So I spoke for about 10 minutes and it went really well. It was really, really good. What I wanted to talk to you today was about tone. And D.D. Palmer, you know, when I went to Life, everybody talked about BJ, but I didn't hear anything about D.D. until I came to the Self Center. But D.D. Palmer said that life is tone. Pretty much that's what he said. Life is tone. So what was D.D.'s tone like, you know, when he gave chiropractic to the world? What's our tone like every day when we go to work and we do what we do? That's extremely important, because if your tone is filled with debris and dirt, it's just not going to come out the same way. And you're not going to get the results that other people are getting. And sometimes you say, wow, how come I'm not getting those results? Right? Oh, it's up to the patient to get better. But that tone has to be pure. The tone has to be perfect, crystal clear, right, when you deliver what you do. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was intent. What is your intent when you give chiropractic care to your people? Some people think their intent is, how many patients did I see this week? That's not a good intent. You better check that, okay? How much money did I make this week? That's not a good intent either. You're not going anywhere with that. That's not what this is about. So intent, D.D. said it the best. He wanted to relieve people of suffering and sickness so that they can get connected to God. That was D.D. Palmer's intent. I paraphrased it, but he basically says that. All right, metaphysical, so on and so forth. But that's intent. So sometimes we need to check our intent. Why are we doing this? What are we doing it for? And that's the most important thing. I think that if we ever want to become chiropractic and stop being chiropractors, that we need to get to that intent level. Thank you.
Anyone want to ask Phil anything? Anyone? Anyone? Mark.
What was it like going back to your alma mater and talking to a lot of the guys you went to school with?
It was good. I haven't seen people in 40 years. Everybody got older except me because of the Self Center and chiropractic.
Anyone else like to ask Phil anything? Go ahead, Josh.
How do you check your own tone?
That's a good question. Well, what I do is I try to clear out my mind of everything, and I keep thinking about what my intent is, and I make sure that my intent and my tone, when I stick a tone, I say, okay, I'm crystal clear. There's no debris, there's no dirt, there's nothing inside of me, okay, that's going to interfere with what I do.
Anyone else like to ask Phil anything? Anyone? One more time, anyone? No one. Go ahead, Alex.
While you were back at Life, did people you saw that you gone to school with, and I don't know if you mixed with any students, did you feel like anybody else was kind of going in this direction? Or did you feel like it's changed from maybe what it had been or where you are?
Well, I didn't see students there, but I played rugby like 40 years ago. So it was like the guys I played rugby with, there was like about 40 or 50 of these guys showed up. And there was other people from other classes too, but what I found was this, and that was a great question, is that there are very few people who were thinking in this direction. But there are some.
All right, Phil, that was 3. Excellent. Great job. Now, I just want to tell for the people for Zoom, Mark had a good idea. Just, if you want to speak, just raise your hand. You could call my phone, and I'll put you on speaker, and we can hear you. So if anyone from Zoom would like to speak, just let me know. Do you want to say anything, Senior Josh? You don't have to.
Nancy wants to say something.
All right, Nancy, let me let this.
No, sir.
I'm gonna let this young man come up. It's his first time here. Then you're up. Come on up, Josh. Just say your name and let us know who you are, Josh.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh McKell. I'm new here to Brooklyn. I went to Life Chiropractic College West. I've been in practice for less than 2 years, but I'm really excited to be here and serve Brooklyn. I'm not really sure what this is all about, but I was Sarah's former practice member. She told me I should come here because I'm looking for real vitalistic chiropractors, and in my career thus far I haven't met a whole lot, so it's nice to be here.
All right, that was excellent. Anyone like to ask Josh anything?
What part of Brooklyn are you in, Jim?
Sunset Park.
Beautiful.
43rd Street and 4th Avenue, Phil.
Wow, great.
Anyone else like to ask Alex?
Are you, do you have your own place, or are you working for somebody or with somebody? Like, what are you up to?
I'm working in Park Slope right now, but looking to open my own place. It's time.
Cool.
Anyone else like to ask Senior Josh anything?
Where's he from? Where are you from?
Born and raised in New Jersey, but I've been practicing the last 2 years in LA.
All right, I'll let one more for this young guy. Anyone? Let me see. Let me just see something real
Is
quick.
Nancy just texted me.
Here we go. What gives you the most joy in chiropractic?
Removing subluxation, restoring that brain-body connection.
All right, you answered very precisely. Excellent. Excellent. So Nancy, you can call me, and we'll put you on speaker. We have to be technological wizards. All right, here's Miss Nancy. So Nancy, you're on speaker.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Wait, let me turn my phone up. Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Can everybody hear me?
You guys can hear her?
Yes.
Yes, Nancy, go ahead.
Oh, outrageous. Okay. The last 2 weeks, here in Florida for sure, but with most of my clients, I've been experiencing what Pasquale told us for years was going to happen. And you've heard me say this before, but I just want to reiterate the decline of the medical profession, people being so beaten up by medical doctors and having such problems getting to authentic, real doctors who can really help them. And I would assume from this that the last couple of weeks have been more difficult on chiropractors because I've never seen the kind of, I would say, abuses that people are involved in the medical profession. Not everybody, but there's an awful lot of it going around. And Pasquale talked about this kind of thing happening, and I feel like I'm seeing it right in front of my eyes. And I think chiropractic is getting more and more and more important and essential, not only in terms of health, but in terms of the spirituality of it. People need what's real. They need what's authentic. It's kind of been overwhelming the last 2 weeks. So just want to let you know and kind of just say, keep on keeping on.
Would anyone like to ask Nancy anything? Anyone here? Mark?
Nancy, do you have any suggestions on how maybe we can keep ourselves clear during this craziness time? Because I definitely have felt a lot of craziness in the field in the last couple of weeks.
That's a big question. And I think Phil said it also, like, I have to be crystal clear. And sometimes it's really hard because people can be provocative and trigger reactions. And sometimes it's really hard for me too. I pray a lot. And you talked about increasing your faith. However you can do that, I think it's really important for everybody now. Really going directly to God with problems, not taking a shortcut, So.
Anyone else like to ask Nancy? Phil Bracco?
What does she mean by the shortcut?
What do you mean by the shortcut?
Giving spiritual credence to things that are not direct connection to God. For example, some people like to have crystals around their office. That's fine, that's nice, but the crystals are not where the healing comes from. The healing comes from God. So that's the kind of thing. In the chiropractic, it's not, anything that would take you away from that consciousness would not make you clear enough to be, and I love the phrase, to be crystal clear.
Anyone else like to ask Nancy anything? All right, Nancy. Go ahead, Josh.
How did it change over the last 2 weeks? I feel like all I've seen in my whole career so far is people complaining about the medical field and wanting chiropractic.
Did you hear that, Nancy?
Yes, that you heard people saying that they don't want the medical profession, that they want chiropractic. I don't know that we don't want the medical profession, but that there is a contribution that they make. But it seems right now that many people are looking to make a buck first rather than really, really serving people. And that can be medical people or chiropractors too. As I have shared with this group, I've had that experience with chiropractors here where I am in Florida. So, I think keeping on track and knowing that as Mark said, and several of you, having that faith, as Alex said, keeping to true north is the word he used for it, is essential right now.
All right. Okay, Nancy. That was 3, so thank you, Nancy. All right, I want to hang up now. Bye. All right, everybody, we'll pass the Nancy. Does anyone else from Zoom want to talk? Just raise your hand. You can call me, and we'll do the same thing, speaker. Just let me know. I'll give you one more opportunity. Anyone from Zoom want to speak?
Can Christina hear you?
Yes. You can hear me, right, Christina? Okay, good.
Steve?
She's in Delray Beach, Florida, I think. Yep, all right. Anyone else want to?
Is Osipinski gone?
Oscar Pinsky, you can call me if you want. Barbara Caputo, you see her name?
Bobby Caputo, who's that?
She was, I think she lived with Elita at one time in chiropractic school. I knew her a little. She was in one of my classes.
Wow.
I don't know, Barbara, if you remember me, if you see me there, but
She's still there?
I don't know. But Steve, if you want to say anything, you can call. Steve's known Pasquale a long time. He came down here in the 80s. So, and he's a Brooklyn boy too. All right, so no one else from Zoom. Wait. No, not right now. All right, so Steve's not gonna. If you guys can all mute yourselves, I don't hear that. So everyone on Zoom, please mute yourself. All right, the technical wizardry. All right, well, all right. I gotta learn how to mute the people. I don't know how to do that.
Just mute on the computer. Mute the whole computer. Right?
Well, wait.
If you set up the Zoom, you can mute everybody.
No, wait. There's a mute over here.
Just hit the mute button.
All right. If Nancy, can you just shake your head that you can hear me? Yes. Can you hear me, Nancy? No, I muted myself.
Yeah. Just hit the button on the computer, bro.
Which one's the mute one? I'm terrible.
That's the
Fernando's gonna handle that. All right, Nancy, can you hear me now? All right, we had to mute everything. Clap for Nancy and a clap for Fernando. Hey, it's not my computer. Anyway. So my name's Brian Patrick Corrigan. I'm a chiropractor, Jersey City, New Jersey. Well, I'm gonna start off with some stories about some people I took care of. So Josh, you are surrounded by some people. Phil graduated, I believe, school 40 years ago, right?
What's that?
You graduated chiropractic school 40 years ago?
83.
So that's 40 years.
Yep, this 40.
March will be 44 years in June. Me, 27. Alex, I think, 23.
23 next month.
And Fernando, I forget, he's younger than me.
18.
18. All right, so you got some experience in the room. So anyway, I'll just talk about a quick. These people. Oh, that went out. That will come back. It'll come back on its own. I can't deal with that. They can watch the video. This one. Well, I'll talk with this guy. This guy came in once. I met him like twice. Then he came in like a week later, and he's telling me about how his wife had an accident. She had a car accident or something like that. No, she was hit on her bicycle. I said, well, you know, bring her in. I'll be more than happy to help her. And he looks at me. He goes, he grabbed my hand. He took both hands. He grabbed my hand. He goes, I want you to know she died 3 hours ago. And he kept hanging on to my hand. And he did this in the waiting room in front of a bunch of people. And I'm like, wow, that's an intense story. Then he kept going to me. I have to go deal with all this funeral stuff. And it's probably going to take me about 2 weeks. But after that, I'm going to come back here. And he goes, because I know you can help me. I know you're going to help me. And he kept squeezing my hand and saying, I know you're going to help me. So he did. He did all the funeral stuff. He came back 2 weeks later. He showed up like 3 to 4 times a week for like 9 months. Then he moved. And I know he's doing okay now because I have known one of his friends who told me. And that's a pretty wild story because when I was in chiropractic school, no one ever told me that was going to happen. Shortly after that, this woman comes in. I only met her a few times because when she was in town visiting her friends, she'd come over to me. And she comes up to me, she goes, Brian, I'm having a hard week. I go, what's going on? I said, well, her aunt, who she loved very much, passed away a few days ago. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. She goes, one other thing. I go, what? She told me her son had committed suicide 2 days earlier. Once again, she grabs me and she goes, something told me I had to come here and I had to see you because I know you're going to help me. I know you're going to help me get through this. And I'm just looking at her. I'm shocked. I'm like, okay. And she came in. I only saw her that one day, and then a year later she came back, and she told me that did help her. It just helped her learn, I'm trying to think of the word she used, to accept what happened with her son, and now she had to learn how to get on with the rest of her life. I'm telling you these stories, especially if you're a young chiropractor. I was never told this kind of stuff in school, so I was startled. I had one lady tell me once, her son was 2 years old, and someone was trying to kill her husband, but they hit her son, and the son died in her arms. And I'm blown away by these stories, and it's just, one woman told me her son had murdered someone. He's going to go to prison the rest of his life. So there's a lot of wild stuff out there, and you have people tell you happy stories too. I'm just giving these stories. So let's get into this whole chiropractic. I'm going to give a quote from Pasquale, then one from D.D. Palmer. So Pasquale, on the back of his memorial card, he actually, it was put together, it's the one of him in the tuxedo, and a quote in the back, and a quote with Pasquale's quote. That card was actually put together by Glenn Scarpelli. He did a great job. And it just says, spiritually, all suffering and sickness is non-existent. Then said, it's only because of this current state of negativity and the lack of faith in our own power and existence that we have all the sickness, disease, and suffering. Then it says, for the spiritually inclined, you lose nothing and gain everything. And there's one more line, and it says, it talks about when there's a spiritual shift in the consciousness of the world, you will see people have a shift towards chiropractic, what we were truly all about. So, the first line is pretty wild, that spiritually suffering and sickness is non-existent. Then you get down to the one part about how we lose nothing. So spiritually you lose nothing, gain everything. And at the end, what I ask myself, what is chiropractic truly all about? I'm going to get to that. Just remember that it was said. I'll get back to that in a moment. So D.D. Palmer, for me, was way ahead of his time. He gave this quote, I think it's on page...
7.
I think it's on page 9.
Seven.
What?
Page 7, I think.
Page 7, on, whatever. It's on the 1914 book. And he speaks about, I have to remember, I don't have it exactly, but he says, chiropractic, there were two principles for chiropractic that he speaks. The philosophy of chiropractic has two principles to it. No, it has a moral and a religious duty. That was the word. Morally, it's basically about concerning our physical welfare, what to do to keep our physical body in good form. The second part, he said, religiously, I remember someone had memorized, he said, it governs our motives of divine duty with respect to the advancement of our spiritual existence throughout eternity. That's a pretty big quote right there. And then it's principles to embrace like the faith, belief, obligations, and conduct of our life towards God and man. So he's talking about chiropractic, your spiritual existence throughout eternity, and about you, about God and man, man meaning male and female. So, I think about these stories, and one thing I learned over the years is, every person that goes, that comes to me, I'm a chiropractor, that comes to see me is sent to me by God. And the only thing Pasquale ever told me about being a chiropractor and running an office was, focus on serving the people, and the rest will take care of itself. And when you have pure intentions with the Holy Spirit, God will provide all your needs. Now, I meet a lot of young chiropractors, and I have met some students, not that many, but all they do is talk about, I got a way to get more people to come in, wait more people. And I said, what do you do when they come in? They're like, what? I go, you have to talk about serving people. Talk about the intention of serving. Learn how to serve people. Then when they come in, you know what to do. They say, well, I visualize like 400 people coming in a week. They give these big numbers. And I said, okay. And I asked them, I said, are you ready to see 400 people a week? Because if you're not ready, Pasquale called that a forced job. You're forcing the issue, and be careful what you ask for. Because all the people start showing up, you don't have the goods to deliver. You're going to cut corners, and you're going to miss out. And believe me, those people, for the most part, will not come back. And you're always going to have to be marketing. You're always going to have to be running around hustling to get people to come in. If you want to do that, go ahead. I'm just saying, when you get yourself in that and with the pure intention of the Holy Spirit, you will have visions, and I mean visions on what to do. There's a difference. It's not. You're not forcing it. I'll spell right. I'm not forcing it. It's coming to me. When those visions come to me, I follow them exactly. I don't add anything. I don't take away anything. I just do it exactly. And by doing that, those people, why would those people go to a chiropractor to work through the grief of losing a loved one like that, or the woman whose son was going to go away the rest of his life in prison? Why would they come in and tell me these things? Why would they think that would help them? Because something inside of them senses that this guy is going to help me with the spiritual, it's like their soul going through this journey. Now, you have all these books, and today's a really big Hindu. It's the father of Ganesh. It's a big holiday, and they're going to be up all night. I don't know what it's about, but it's a big day for people, and I just sensed it. So what's going on is, for me as a chiropractor, just allowing myself to just have that connection with God, and just, when that stuff comes to me, just use it. I don't have to question it, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. Not that, I'm not saying going out and speaking to people, or however you want to get people to come in, I'm not putting people down for that. But I'm saying, if that's all I hear, but I never hear these people talking about serving people. And it's just, maybe they do, but I don't hear it. But when I ask them, they think I'm crazy. So let's get back to the spirit. This is what I want to say. You have like the Bible, and you have all these different religions and all the different things. And for me, it's really just, all these are about it's about the story of a soul, the advancing of a soul. And I believe that every chiropractor, that people go to you because they have a sensing inside of them that this person is going to help them with their soul advancing. Now, let's get back to the quote from Pasquale. Spiritually, all suffering and sickness is not existent. All right. Now, the second part, when he said it's because of our lack of faith, shortly after that, he kind of changed the way he spoke about the word faith, because you can watch the video, Pasquale and Victoria, Fernando's wife, and she goes, Pasquale, what is faith? It was filmed in the back room there. And he goes, well, faith is not necessary in heaven because you don't need it. And you don't need hope in heaven, and you don't need charity because everything you need is just there. And Pasquale goes, I want the conditions of heaven here. She goes, but there's faith on earth. He's like, yeah, but I don't want to be forced into living that way. So that was a big one for me. Just to allow me to think about having like heaven here. And like Phil was saying, that stuff starts coming out of you. I truly believe you want to say magnetic north, the true north, or being connected to God, however you want to say it. That means things inside you have to leave. We took on parts to get through all this stuff. We had to take all these protective mechanisms so we could just survive the way the world's been all these years. Like Nancy was saying, she sensed something. I sensed a lot of heaviness in Sura this week. A lot of it, and I just felt it in me. But I was told her something big is leaving me. That's not a bad thing. I sensed something's leaving me. And it's really about this. All those things I don't need anymore are leaving me. And I'm allowing them to leave me. And it's chiropractic that helps me relax and to be calm and not be worried about it's not about being sick. It's not about catching something. It's about allow these things to leave me. Allow them for my body just to process it and be done with it. And that's what I think he meant by spiritually all suffering is non-existent. Because at that point, I'm not viewing it as being sick or having a disease or anything. I'm viewing it as these things are leaving me so I can have the new. It's like the old earth and old heaven have passed away. Because we have to have the new earth and new heaven. And that's really what's going on. And for me, that's chiropractic. Chiropractic helps people do that. And that's a big deal. And I don't have much more to say, but it's also fun to be a chiropractor. It's fun to take care of these little kids, and they run in and they jump on the table and they hug you and all that type of stuff. I personally enjoy that immensely. Or just I see people come in with this heaviness, and then just to watch it leave them. But I don't talk to them. If they want to ask me, I will. But or else I don't say anything. I let them have their journey. It's their experience. I'm not going to tell them what that experience is for them. That's for them to tell me what their experience is. I don't want to put a forced job on them. And it's fun. But people, I'll say it again, they are coming to us because they sense that it's going to help them advance. Help their soul advance. So that's what I have to say. So does anyone want to ask me anything? Go ahead, Phil.
Any questions for Brian? Anybody out there in Zoom land?
I'll go with you.
Go
you
with
do it.
Josh. You got it.
I know, I'm going to be quiet.
I need to catch up on my reading. Which DD book was that?
The Chiropractor, 1914. It was after he passed away. His wife took his notes and put it together. He passed away in 1913. The book came out a year after he passed away.
Okay. Fernando, is that you?
Yes. So you said how long you been a chiropractor?
27 years, in June, 27 years.
And how long you been married?
How long have I been married? I've been married a year? What's today's date? The 18th? Wow, that's a year, that's a year, 6 months, and let's make it 10 days.
He's a rookie.
And then how old is Jack?
Jack is 16 months and 17
My
days.
question is, these new experiences, how have they affected your chiropractic? What have they changed how you see chiropractic or anything related to chiropractic with those two new experiences?
I mean, I was alone for so many years, so that's a wild ride. It makes me appreciate it more, because it makes me to see that, you know, with Sura, it's just fun to be around her. But with Jack, it's like this little guy, he needs us to do everything. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, I guess it just has made me more focused on making sure that I keep myself. Because you can't lie to Jack. I could, he'll know it. So he keeps me honest, and he makes me realize I have to keep working, because me being better helps him be better, which also helps me serve the people come in better. So that's how it helps me.
Good answers. Any other questions?
Let me see if anyone texted. No. And
You said that you're getting rid of a lot of stuff that you don't need.
Correct.
And then you mentioned something like being sick.
Yeah.
And is there any other examples besides being sick that you could maybe give us when you say that you don't need it?
well,
And you're
it's just
getting rid of it.
it's just like when I say debris, I mean like coughing up stuff, and
Okay, so you're talking physical.
I'm
I thought you were
talking fiddle, but
about-
spiritually, I just feel, I think that heaviness was maybe having any guilt or regrets, or I also believe Pasquale used to make the statement, which I never, and I think about every day, is that self-centered has passed over karma. And for me, this world we live in, like you have all these karmic things, this old heaviness in our auras. And I think chiropractic has allowed me to get rid of those things by allowing me to feel safe enough to view whatever it is I had to work on. And I work on them, and then they're free from my aura, and that heaviness has lifted off of me. And I really felt that very strongly this week. I don't know exactly what they are at the moment, but I believe when that comes to me, I'll share it.
Okay.
I think someone might have. I think someone texted. We have to. Someone did. All right.
Steve.
Senior Steve Oscar Pinsky. So people come in under the guise of a pain are really coming in to have their soul awakened. So do you think it's okay that they don't know the higher purpose of the adjustment? Yes, Steve, it's perfectly fine if they don't know that. And it's not for me to tell them. That's for them to come on their own. That's Senior Steve Oscar Pinsky. I just read Steve's. Nancy Brown, What is the highest challenge for you as a chiropractor? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. What is the highest challenge? I don't know, man. I'm very honest with myself, so that's really not it. I guess just, I don't know, Nancy. I'll get back to you on that one.
Yes, no, I don't know.
I don't know, so I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
At this point in where you are with seeing people, do you have days where the debris seems like it gets in the way a bit? Or do you feel like you've gotten past a lot of that and that's not really an issue anymore?
Well, thanks for asking that, because I was supposed to talk about that. Before I start, every morning I go to the office, and I got my storage closet back there, and I go in there, and I close the door, and I just visualize light coming into every single room. And then I also visualize all the people live in the building where I live in, and me, Sir, and Jack. Then I picture like an angel putting their big protective wings over me and just ask for the guidance and how to serve, and ask to be shown the visions on how to serve. Because I see in my head with each person how to serve that person. So I believe at the moment of serving people, I am perfect. Because I asked for it. But at that moment, so the trick is really, in between seeing people, to allow myself to stay in that mode. To not let anything knock me out of it. And where I am, there's people screaming in the street, honking horns, threatening each other, all sorts of stuff. And I just don't, it's really made, coming to Self Center has taught me how to be focused.
In between. That's the
Yes,
thing.
especially the in-between part, because I have 3 rooms now, so when I walk out of that one room, that room's done. And I start anew when I get to the next person. Don't carry their stuff. All right, I also had to say this about a lot of young chiropractors talk about they take things on from people and they're getting sick from it, and that can happen. I believe that. But for me, by asking for that help, and I mean it, and following those visions, what I learned from Pasquale was, all you do, if the person has a mental disturbance or a physical ailment like cancer or something, whatever it is they have, all I do is get the codes, meaning the wisdom, from what they're going through, without me going through the symptoms of what they're going through. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm not going to get cancer from that person or have mental disturbances, because for me, by asking for guidance, and when you're perfect, by taking, just for that moment, all you do is take in and you just get the wisdom from it. So you understand what it is to be a plumber, or to be a carpenter, or a secretary, or what that person is going through. Whether it's cancer, this or that, you get the wisdom from it. And that was a powerful lesson I learned from Pasquale. You don't have to go through what they're going through, you just get the wisdom from it. And I focus on that every day before I serve people too. Anyone? Oh,
Anybody else?
let me see. All right, no one from Zoom. Let's see if Senior Steve sent something. My phone's not that reliable lately. No.
Okay, if there's no other questions? Thank you, Brian.
Excellent, Steve. Thank you.